Welcome into Dores Unlocked, and oh boy, is something cooking on West End. I'm Jonah Barber, and I'm joined by Zach Phillip as always. And Zach, Commodores, massive upset over Virginia Tech. There's bowl hype. Is there even a little CFP hype, dare I say? Who knows? Who knows? But a big win over Virginia Tech, an opponent that was said could win the ACC. Pavia and the boys get it done, Zach.
Oh my God, what a day to be a Commodore fan. It was awesome. Biggest thing I'm looking at, no freaking turnovers. Let's go. Won that turnover battle 1-0. The enormous Glenn Seabrooks with an even more enormous interception off the hand of Brian Longwell. Defensive line showed up. Line has zung 2 sacks. And the final stop there in overtime when it really mattered. You love to see the clutch gene from Vanderbilt. Brock Taylor missed a kick. We were all thinking, oh no, here it goes. And they came right back. Super resilient. Great day to be a Commodore fan. What did you see from the offense?
Yeah, first time looking at a Clark Lee-led defense, Zach, and I agree. They looked money. On the offensive side, Pavia Pandemonium is officially among us. Boy, is he a competitor. He's a gamer. He loves the game of football, Zach, and we saw that on Saturday. 12 for 16, completed 75% of his passes. Uber efficient, got Quincy Skinner Jr. involved, got Eli Stowers involved a couple times, but used a lot of tight end sets and didn't even open up that tight end playbook yet. So excited to see what can happen in the passing game. And in the run game was just a master of the option. Had Cedric Alexander back there, 17 carries for him. Pavia carried it 26 times himself, over 100 yards. Not afraid to take the contact, and not only led one, but 2 key game-winning drives. I'll put it like that. One time, field goal was missed. Second time, they win in overtime. What a performance from the offense. Diego Pavia, SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week with Georgia's Carson Beck. And speaking of Pavia, Zach, we got a chance to sit down with 2 gentlemen who are awfully close to Diego. We are so lucky here on Dores Unlocked today to have Javier Pavia, older brother of Diego Pavia, and one of his best friends in the whole world, Adrian. We're told an honorary Pavia brother. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today. And the first thing we want to ask you is, how did Diego get into football? What was his relationship with the game at a young age?
So, first off, Diego was at a young age with the 2 older brothers. He really wanted to play football. So, I think you can only start at the age of 8, and here in New Mexico. So, my mom actually signed him up when he was 6 and just said he was 8. Started him early, and ever since then, he took off into being a star.
That's awesome. That's a great story. And if you could elaborate on that, and Adrian, if you want to chime in here too, talk to us a little bit about the guy and the competitor we see on the field and off the field today.
I guess him starting football at the age of 6 sums it up a little bit. The dude's different. This is exactly where he needs to be. SEC football, he got the chance and he took off with it, and he's going to continue to, for sure. People are going to get to see what type of guy he is. He's going to show it, but we could tell you a little bit about him, but he's going to show you guys, I promise you. But dude's a competitor. I mean, everything he does. We play basketball. We play chess. He wants to win. There's no losing. He's going to go double or nothing, or he's going to tell us that somehow we scored less points than him, but we really didn't, So there's just that competitive mindset in everything we do with him. And I mean, it falls from the older brothers. As you see, these guys are competitors as well. And if you want to come in on that, Javi.
Yeah, just the guy's a competitor. Whatever it takes to win, he'll get it done. If that means going the extra mile or, convincing himself he still hasn't lost, to just get the win out, and he'll make it happen one way or another.
Yeah, we certainly saw that on the field on Saturday. I think Commodore fans got a taste of what Diego can bring to the table, and they're excited to see how the rest of the season is going to look. Now, let's talk a little bit about his journey on the collegiate level. Started at JUCO, then New Mexico State. Now, like you said, the biggest and the baddest, SEC football. What's that process been like for him, and how have you seen him change as an individual?
So out of high school, he had no offers. I'm sure you all heard that. He had no offers from D2, and he decided to go the JUCO route. Went to New Mexico Military Institute, took them to a national championship and won that. Then went on to New Mexico State and took them to two bowl games. Something hadn't happened in over 60 years or something like that. Then continues on and now he's competing at the highest level, SEC. Um, Speaks into his competitiveness. He's just a competitor. Whatever it takes to win, he's going to find a way. And he continues to do it week in, week out.
Crazy story, actually, about him starting NIMI. He was a walk-on, right? But we actually treated it like SEC football. We got in a big van. About 20 of us went out there, delivered him, dropped him off at military school, and we all believed in him. I mean, nobody ever doubted him. I mean, everybody doubted him except for us. But we knew what was going to happen. I mean, I don't mean to sound cocky or anything, but everybody close to him knew how far he was going to make it, and he's doing exactly that. I think he's going to continue to make it further, and this is only the beginning to his journey. You guys are going to see, and the best way I can explain it is just enjoy the show. Enjoy the show, because it's going to be a show.
That's awesome. Great story, and an even better segue into Javier. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Please share with us your favorite childhood memory of Diego, either on or off the field.
I mean, there's many, countless, but one distinct memory I have of us when we were younger is me and my older brother and Diego, of course. We have a pretty big yard over here in Albuquerque, so some grass in it. We'd before football would start or after practice, we'd all put on our pads and just one-on-ones, play football, backyard football, and it still seems like he's still doing the same thing, whatever it takes to gain that extra yard. And one of us was the ref on if we passed the first down or not, and the others were keep on going, So he's just a competitor, whatever it took to win.
Version of that spontaneous backyard football on Saturday, and we hope to see it in the games to come. An awesome performance from Diego, and we appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon. Welcome back to Dores Unlocked. That was a fantastic segment, getting to meet the honorary Pavia brother and Javier Pavia, Diego's actual brother. Some awesome stories there. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Commodores, some fun numbers to play with here. So we got, on PFF Premium, we got 46% chance to make a bowl, 4% chance to make the college football playoffs, and the one that I was most surprised about, 8 votes for the AP poll top 25. Jonah, what do you think about those 3 numbers?
Well, I don't hate it. I saw that tweet that the 8 people should identify themselves immediately. No, remain anonymous, because more people are going to be voting for Vanderbilt real soon. I would be loud and proud. Look, we are in a spot right now where Vanderbilt just won their toughest game for the next 3 weeks, right? Or the next 2 weeks, rather. They're going to play Alcorn State, who lost 41-3 to UAB. They're going to play Georgia State, who didn't look great week 1. So realistically, you're rolling into Missouri 3-0. Then from there, if you win that game, then you are actually nationally ranked. Then you have a really good chance of making a bowl game. I'd put that percentage up around 85. And in terms of CFP, put it around 10%, right? What do you have to do to make the CFP? You have to either win or then get a bid at large, right? So they're not going to win the SEC, but who knows? Just keep winning games and see what happens.
Certainly some high expectations there. Never going to rule it out. But let's focus on the bowl here, right? So we've got, if we win the 3 more non-conference games, which seems pretty reasonable given who we're playing and their performance week 1, none of them look particularly good. So that puts us at 4-0. And then, as every Commodore fan is doing right now, we're looking at those 3 SEC games, right, with Kentucky, South Carolina, and who's the third one?
Auburn?
And Auburn, exactly. After New Mexico State beat them last year, it's 2 of those 3 to make a bowl, right? I mean, it looks awfully manageable.
And South Carolina looks awfully bad after their game against Old Dominion, where they got bailed out by an interception, right? They probably should have lost that game. Auburn crushed they played some no-name school, but they crushed them. They put 70 on them, but that's what you're supposed to do. And you're right. New Mexico State maybe has a little magic going in to Jordan-Hare Stadium. And then, yeah, Kentucky is a winnable game. And hey, call me crazy. Call me crazy. I'm ruling out Alabama and Texas, but I'm not yet ruling out Missouri. I'm not. They're great. They're a really good football team. Don't get me wrong. But let's see what Pavia has. If you're rolling in 3-0 with all that swagger, I don't count the boys out.
Now, Jonah, last week you and I were already looking at this Virginia Tech game, thought it might be a toss-up. I did think we were going to win. You were on the other side of that. Now, a guy that knew we were going to win that game very confidently and put us at 7-5 making a bowl game is Errington Truesdell. You and I fortunate to sit down with him again. Let's take a look at that.
We are back here on Dores Unlocked. We've got our weekly Errington Truesdell, former Vandy linebacker, upcoming GM, and a man who seems very right about this team so far. Errington, how are we feeling after week one? How about them Commodores?
Man, I hate to be the guy who said I told y'all so, but quite literally, I told y'all so. Virginia Tech, like anyone else in the country that came in, they thought it was sweet. They thought they were playing the same Vanderbilts of old. But like I told y'all last week, this is a new regime. This is a new team. You got the Tim Beck-led offense, caught them by surprise, just like I said it would. You had the Clark Lee-led defense. They were dialed in for the majority of the game. They had a little slide, but it's okay. At least he saw that his team knew how to handle adversity. Had a 17-0 lead. Hey, I was happy with what I saw on Saturday. And just like it just seems like the environment and the atmosphere is different. People on campus are talking about Vanderbilt football. There's people in classes saying their weekend was made because Vanderbilt won. People making plans about how they're going to build the Alcorn State game into their plans. And that's like unheard of at Vanderbilt. And it's just crazy to see. It's a good thing, but people love to support you when you're up. And I even have a story about that because look, I work out at the YMCA right around the corner. I've been wearing the same. I'm gonna always support my guys, so I wear my same Vanderbilt gear every single time. For the same 3 months, I've been seeing the same people over at that gym. No one's had anything to say to me, and I don't mind. I just like getting my lift in. That's why I'm there. But this past weekend rolled around. Vanderbilt won on Saturday. On Sunday, I go get another lift. The same people who I was seeing in there the entire time. Now everyone, oh, you play for Vanderbilt? Of course, I had to clarify that I don't. Like, I'm not here to act like I still play, but it's just crazy how they love to support you when you're up. It's a good thing, and it's just a new feel. Like I said, the new Vanderbilt regime is here, and it seems to be the start of something special this year.
You're exactly right. This fan base is very excited. Now let's zoom even further into that game. Talk to us about your keys to success and that win over Virginia Tech.
So I think we all saw things that were really uncharacteristic of Vanderbilt teams in the past. And before I even get into on-field play, let me just start out with saying shout out to Coach Steiner, the strength coach. I was telling y'all last week, everyone seemed more filled out, more physically ready to go. And we saw Vanderbilt actually take it to Virginia Tech, hit them in the mouth over and over again, took the fight to those guys. Like I said, they had a little lapse for a quarter, but for the most part, Vanderbilt was pushing them around the field, up and down, having their way with them. And that's just not something you see with Vanderbilt. You usually see them trying to run away. They're just trying to make it out the game, trying to hang on and make it into the next week healthy. But it looked like Virginia Tech by the end of that game wanted nothing to do with it. So shout out to Coach Steiner, the strength coach. His strength and conditioning program certainly seems to be in tip-top shape. Now that leads me to offense. Shout out Diego Pavia, talking about willing your team to victory. What was he? 12 for 16, 190 in the air. Then he also had 104 yards on the ground. Literally, like I said, willed his team to victory. I even watched his post-game interview, and he was telling the reporter that when the game got on the line, he told Coach Tim Beck, like, put the ball in my hands, like, this is my moment. And he said that Coach Tim Beck trusts him. And I think that's what we saw was that offense that was on the same page, OC that trusts his quarterback. And as we can see, great things can happen when you just have a team that's in sync, on the same page, and ready to go. We saw slow, methodical drives. They were actually, like, usually Vanderbilt's 3 and out, quick, give the ball right back to the defense, and then the defense gets tired. So then it's like they're just trying to catch their breath, easy touchdowns. But when a big thing Coach Lee stressed when I was playing was complementary football, and it seemed like they finally found the key to that. Just kind of all three phases of the game interlocking, which then leads me to the defense. Shout out guys like Brandon Fontenette. He was causing havoc. Langston and Brian are always anchors in the middle. Langston, the captain, leading his team. Brian causing turnovers, which led to the Glenn Seabrooks interception. Who else played well? The D line, Corday Sidner, Linus. Like something else that's plagued Vanderbilt going forward or in the past has been the inability to get off the field on third downs because they've had to try to adjust. Usually they haven't had pass rushers who are good enough to get home on their own. But now that there's guys like Corday, Linus, who's up and coming, Zaylen Wood, just all those guys who've been working on their crafts this offseason, now it's like everyone's making their way home. Everyone's winning their one-on-ones, and this frees up the DBs to kind of be like to plaster, stay on their man. You don't have to cover for as long. So that's just like something that I noticed. Vanderbilt was getting people to 3-and-outs, which is uncharacteristic. There was the late game blown coverage by Dante Carter, but he's young, still learning, still growing. So just the fact that he's out there making plays, he even made the game-winning play, like just stuff like that is exciting to see. Things like I said that are uncharacteristic, and yeah, I think those were probably the two or three keys of the game that were just major to me and things that I really saw that stood out.
Yeah, we were gonna ask you next, Errington, about defensive improvements and what can be made, but you really already covered it there. There was a few blown coverages, right? But chalk it up to some of those guys are young back there. Maybe if CJ, DeRicky Wright hold on to those
Oh yeah,
interceptions,
yeah,
we're
most
talking about a
definitely. I
complete.
think
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think they got a look from placing up 17-0. Usually, like because Vanderbilt, it was kind of like a shocker because Vanderbilt's not up used to being up 17-0 on the team. But you got to get in that position. You got to step on your opponent's throat and be like, "This is the new Vanderbilt, and this is what we do. We're up 17-0. We catch the interceptions, 24-0 going into halftime. We'll have people in street clothes, but nah, I'm just playing about that part. But like that's the mentality they should have is that like you want to dominate, you want to just really step on it and let your opponent know you're not here to play around. And I think they kind of gave them some more time of day than they deserved.
All right, Arrington. Last week you were very optimistic. Told us you saw this team going 7-5, and we did in fact get that week 1 win. Where is your head at on this team now? Are you even higher?
I'm put it like this. Right as of right now, I'm gonna stick with my 7-5, but it's more like I'm going 7-5, the minimum. So it's like I think at the worst that they'll be 7-5. There's still some games. I like Missouri's still gonna be difficult. Missouri looks insane. Alabama looked insane. South Carolina looked horrible. So I think that'll be a definite win. Now they beat Old Dominion 32-28. They looked horrible. So I think that
Awful.
I think we might blow them out the water. We just gotta keep stacking wins, keep stacking days. Like I said, we coming out 3-0. Yeah, 3-0. Alcorn State this weekend, Georgia State. We're gonna breeze by them. Those will be good confidence builders. Who's week 4? Or yeah, who's week 4?
That's Mizzou, I believe.
Okay, yeah,
Right?
we gonna have to we gonna have to reassess that when it comes around because they're hot. We're hot though too. So I'm gonna stick with my 7-5. But the sky's the limit because I think belief is half the battle. Like in the past, Vanderbilt has not been like they haven't known that they could win big games. Now that they won this big game, they have the confidence. They're dialed in, got that dub. So now they're just gonna keep, like I said, building momentum into week 4. And I think from that Missouri game, we'll really be able to tell how special this team can really be.
The team could certainly be special. That is former
It
Vandy
could.
linebacker, future GM, and regular on Doors Unlocked, Errington
Yes, sir.
Truesdell. Errington, thank you for taking the time.
Been a pleasure, fellas.
Well, Errington, thanks for that. He's certainly high on the guys. We are too. Now let's talk about Alcorn State. They lost 41-3 to UAB, who, by all standards of what we know, are not going to be that good of a football team this year. The things I saw from Alcorn State in watching the film, they look terrible on play action. They look terrible on outside runs. Their defense just really looked lost overall. There was a lot of lapses in the coverages. There were balls that were lobbed up that were getting completed. They did have one fumble recovery. I think that was their best moment. So Alcorn State really struggled. This is the kind of game, Zach, that if you're going to be a ranked team eventually, if you're going to be a team making a bowl, that you think you should really blow these guys out of the water on your home turf.
I would love to see that. I don't want Diego Pavia touching the field in the second half. This is the kind of game, an SEC team, you got to just freaking stomp them, put them in the ground early. I watched that film as well. I thought we can run all over that defense. Anything up the outside, I thought they were really slow defense, and their defensive backs were not getting engaged. in tackling the running backs. I think Cedric Alexander is going to have a field day. And one other thing to note, Alcorn State really struggled on special teams. They gave up a blocked punt and a touchdown. So hopefully our special teams can have a big contribution and contribute to that big lead that we get in the first half.
Big leads coming. That's Vanderbilt football. Stay tuned here. We're going to have coverage for them the whole year, and it's looking like an exciting year. Before we go, let's talk a little bit about another program that's in a really good spot, and that's Vanderbilt Soccer. Darren Ambrose has built this team so tactically, always fields a good squad, but this looks like it could be a special squad, Zach. They have started 3-0-1. That one was a tie with a draw with nationally ranked Georgetown. They just beat up on Columbia 3-0. Whoa, so good in goal. Divine, good backup there as well. They combined for a whole lot of shutouts. And then coming up, Zach, Kansas, Middle Tennessee, and Eastern Kentucky. We'll see if they can finish undefeated before they go into a grueling SEC schedule that starts with Auburn.
Yeah, look, the whole team's playing great right now. Awesome to see them beat Columbia. But I got 2 words for you. Courtney Jones. Those were 2 of the most incredible goals I have ever seen at the college level. That was ridiculous. One of them slotted in the upper left-hand corner. Just an incredible game from her against Columbia. Hopefully she and the rest of the team can carry that momentum into the next few games and keep the ball rolling here.
Well, we will keep the ball rolling here as well. We will be back next week with Dores Unlocked. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. That is Zach Phillip. I am Jonah Barbin. We will see you next week.